Hello and welcome to my video on how to create a flat plan sketch for Media Studies A-level and GCSE students. So particularly now, it's really important to create detailed flat plan sketches because it might be that actually you don't have a chance to finish all your photographs and your production work for media. So if you have a really detailed plan, then this year, which is 2021, that's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to talk you through how to create a detailed flat plan sketch. The example that I've got, that I've made a sneaky start on that you can see here, is a DVD cover because some of my students are finding it a little bit difficult. So first of all, the first thing to say is that you should have completed detailed planning and research before this. So depending on what your chosen genre is, we're going to have a look at action and sci-fi, and I've got some examples here, so you probably will have looked at your own examples as well. I've had a look at the Hunger Games one, and Guardians of the Galaxy, and Black Panther got here as well. This is the Black Panther one. And then just in terms of female representation, because I decided I was going to have female characters in mine, got Pitch Perfect, a little insight into the sort of DVDs I watch, I'm embarrassed to say. And then, yet again, just for female representation and sort of looking at their expressions and stuff, got Pitch Perfect 2 as well. So as you might have guessed from that, I've decided as part of my idea and my plan to include strong female characters. Obviously that's something that is not featured so often in film in general. It tends to be more focused on the male as the hero. And I've got two characters that are sort of like her sidekicks basically, and then a couple of other characters too. So it's sort of similar to Black Panther in that way. So you'll see I've sort of taken examples from different DVD cover designs. So I'd say when you're creating yours, whether it's a poster or a DVD cover or an advert, to have those examples in front of you, because I can't emphasise enough how important it is to keep going back and seeing what they look like, because even though you might sort of have an idea of it, it's not the same as having it right in front of you. So it's really important to have those in front of you. So what I have done here is, first of all, I've drawn out my DVD cover. I had to do it just by tracing a DVD cover because I don't have a very good ruler with me. So you might be in the same position. You could sort of trace lightly round the outside. That's what I did. Or if you've got a ruler, obviously you can take the measurements and then copy that down. So that's the first thing. You want to draw out your sketch. So you can see I've got that there, and then I've made sure this is just completely in the centre, and I've already put in some details. So whatever film or genre you're doing, according to the brief you've chosen and what your aims are, there are some features that you'll need to have. So for example, you're always going to have the front cover, the back cover and the spine, and then you're going to make sure that you've got the certificate there. And as you can see on all of these, it's in the, they all have to be 12s actually, which is what I've gone for in my plan as well. So yeah, it's always in that corner. So it's always in the bottom left-hand corner of the front cover, and then on the spine as well. So I have done that. So what you can do is you can trace that on the window. That's absolutely fine to trace that because it's just, you know, a detail that you always have. As you can see, I've got my main characters here. I've decided to call it Insurrection because what I wanted to achieve was the idea of rebelling against something, sort of rising up, like Delirium trilogy, where people are rising against the regime that's restrictive and dystopian. So a bit like the Hunger Games, that has that idea as well. So that's what I've gone for. That's how I've come up with that word, which is the title of the film. So you want to think about that sort of thing as well. And then for the font, what I did was I used Da font And then I selected the one I wanted, and you can preview it by putting your title of your film in, which is what I've done. And then I've just traced it lightly, so I'm going to go over that a bit more as well. I'm just going to put in mountains, so that's something that is recognisable but doesn't detract away from my main characters. What I actually might do is have it sort of darker at the top, so like it's kind of like a cloudy, ominous sky. Dark times and adversity that they face due to the oppressive regime. So it's best to go light to start off with, and you can always make it darker afterwards. I'm going to have a picture of the main character here. So it's best to use a ruler if you've got one. I might at a later stage go over it with a ruler to make it all straight. I do have this ruler actually, it's not a great one, but it's better than nothing. So I've started to fill in some of the details a bit more, obviously because it's action, sci-fi, fantasy. I want them to have quite serious faces, and I've thought about the body language as well. So the fact that she's got a fist connoting rebellion, and that she's holding a gun connoting the threat of violence, and the fact that they're going to be fighting back. And then she's going to have her arm in a fist, similar to I, Daniel Blake, showing that they're rising up against authority. And then I've just added these symbols as well. I'm going to go over them with my not so good ruler in a minute. Hopefully you've got a better ruler than me. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of borrow from this layout. It's fine to borrow the layout because all DVD covers have a similar layout. In terms of conventions, you're never going to sort of reinvent the wheel, and obviously you want to show that you can use conventions effectively. On the exam board, some of them say that you need to have a certain amount of pictures with the brief. So with that in mind, I'm going to have 3 across here, because then I can have the blurb above it. I'm going to have the stars across here as well. So I think I'll do them here. And then we'll have that from Empire. Put that in italics slightly. So I've done a little bit of tracing here with a couple of different pictures that I found, just to get the outline. So as I say, if you do that on the window, then you can sort of get your rough outlines in, and then it just makes it easier to go over it, because sometimes, you know, you're not being marked on your art skills, so it's okay to have a few props like that and little tricks to help you. So added the website there, so you've got the convergent link, and then just other little details that we have. So specifications, for example, you want to write in the languages. So I'm going to do 3 columns. We'll have the rule of 3 in media. Just makes it a bit neater, makes it look a bit more polished. I'm just going to add a bit more detail to this. So that, I want that to kind of look like a threatening, futuristic building. And then this one will have trees. Maybe look like a bit of smoke and fire. So one other thing I'm going to do is just go over this. So I've picked a font with like a spiky top for the eye to connote rebellion and to make the audience think of weapons. So as you can see, it's got all the features, so if we just sort of go through them one by one. Dominant image on the front of the main characters, we've got that. Got the title across the top, it's okay to have it across the bottom. They've got some across the top, some across the bottom. We've got body language conveying the genre of action, sci-fi, and a bit of adventure as well, signified by the background and the fact that there's that landscape there. And then we've got the poses that they're doing. I've chosen to have, so this character is going to have darker skin, and she is going to have sort of like a bit similar to the actress that played Wonder Woman, so that sort of Turkish skin colouring. The other three characters are white, so I'll annotate that, just explaining a bit more, and maybe add colour or indicate colour as well. In fact, that would be a good thing to do. Definitely would be helpful to indicate colour here, because I want to show this is a fire and there are trees, and then this is a sort of modern building here, and again this is showing that there's going to be some sort of fight or confrontation, and at one point this main character is going to be in trouble. And then if you look at the other features, so the fact, got a review here, the 5 stars, so like we've got on the other covers that I've looked at, so here and here for Black Panther. Then we've got the blurb here. When each teenager turns 17, the state forces them into roles. They want to control that. If they want their freedom and control over their own lives, they must fight for it and make impossible choices. Will they succeed in rebellion where others have failed? Then we've got the credit block. We've got the convergent links. We've got the specifications, other information. We've got the certification here, the barcode here, other copyright information. Got a thumbnail here as well, and again the certificates on the front. So yeah, that's sort of everything you need really for a DVD cover. And as I said, the final thing to do would be to lightly indicate colour. You don't need to add loads and loads of colour, it can just be very light, maybe just to show, because for example this is a black leather jacket, but you can also add annotations around the edge saying what is what and what your background is, in case it's not perfectly clear. So yeah, you know, if you submitted one like this would be a high grade, because it's got all of the things really that we'd be looking for as teachers. But any questions, just let me know. And subscribe to my channel.